Hello everyone, welcome to MITS 5600G Information Technology Security Policies and Risk Management. Today I'm going to present my Policies at Work presentation on Information Security Incident Management Policy. Before going into the details of the presentation, let me introduce myself. I'm Maunika and I'm from India. I have done my undergraduate in Electronics and Communication Engineering in India, and after that I have worked as a programmer analyst in Cognizant for around 2.6 years. And now I'm currently pursuing my graduation in MITS AIS, and this is my first semester. Now, coming to the Security Incident Management Policy, firstly we have to understand what is an incident. It can be defined as an adverse event that threatens business security and/or disrupts service. So, what are adverse events? Adverse events includes the following general categories. We can term an event into the adverse event when there occurs compromise of confidentiality, denial of service attacks, intrusions, misuse, damage, access. Coming to the compromise of confidentiality. What is confidentiality? It is nothing but protecting information from being accessed by unauthorized practices or unauthorized parties. A failure to maintain confidentiality is that persons somehow gain access to the data through intentional behavior or accident. Then we can say that there occurred a compromise of confidentiality. Example, when there occur data breaches. Denial of service attacks. This attack prevents or impairs the normal authorized functionalities of the organization's networks, systems, or applications. It is an attack designed to cause an interruption or suspension of services of a specific host or server by flooding it with large quantities of useless traffic or external communication requests. Then the server will be confused how to respond to the request and the server will be blocked. So no one could be able to access that service, access that website. Then it is termed as denial of service attacks. Intrusions. An intrusion is an an unauthorized activity on a network. Detecting an intrusion depends on the defenders having a clear understanding on how the attack works. Then only he can detect whether an intruder is involved in an activity or not. Misuse. We can say that there occurred a misuse of an information when the above categories have involved. Yes, in all of the above categories, we can say that there is a misuse of information has been occurred, and in most of the cases, misuse of information is done generally by the insiders of the company. There are more chances that insiders misuse the information, and when they share the information with the competitors, then there occurs a great damage to the reputation of the company. Damage, yeah, in terms of reputation, in terms of architecture, and access. Access are termed as messages which contain completely but untrue information. Email and virus access contains untrue information. They're just like spam, which are quite annoying. So why do we need this information security incident management policy? To detect, report, and assess information security incidents, to respond to the incidents when we encounter such incidents, and to learn from the incidents after encountering them. This is the general incident response plan followed by organizations. It involves 6 primary phases: preparation, identification, containment, eradication, recovery, and lessons learned. The goal of the first phase, preparation, is to prepare the team or establish the procedures or guidelines needed for incident handling to take place. Second one is identification, wherein we determine if there is an incident. We examine the events and context to confirm whether it is a security incident or not. Third phase is containment, where we start up the cleanup process. We stop the problem from getting worse. We establish the interim and long-term stoppage. Fourth phase is eradication, where we try to finish the cleanup. That is, we try to get rid of attackers' artifacts on the system. Fifth one is recovery, wherein we back in production, that is, we try to restore affected system back to normalcy in a secured manner and put into observation for its behavior to stabilize. And the last phase is lessons learned, wherein we document the whole investigation, learning points, and improvement to existing governance, policy, measures, and control in place. These are the policy statements of my organization. There are very few statements because this policy is a part of corporate security policy. And I'll be explaining each of the statements in detail in the next slides. I've been saying that we have to classify to the security incidents in the first phase. So what is classification? Classification phase involves differentiating between event and an incident. An event in general is a planned thing, whereas an incident is an unplanned thing. Example for event is that leaving home, a birth, a wedding, a party, whereas an incident is that which will be an outcome of an event. What will happen if a person leaves home? The outcome of it is considered as an event. It happens something unexpectedly and often there is a negative impact of it. Whereas a security event is that which is unidentified occurrence of a system, service or network state indicating a possible breach of security policy or failure of safeguards. Security incident is indicated by a single or series of unwanted or unexpected security events that have a significant probability of compromising business operations and threatening information systems. Let us try to understand the difference between security event and a security incident. A security event is an observable occurrence related to IT systems, whereas a security incident itself is an event that causes adverse consequences. Examples for security events are suspicious emails, system lapses or crashes, unauthorized devices on a network. Whereas examples for security incidents is a violation of confidentiality, unauthorized access of accounts, networks, or records. From the pictures, we can see that an event doesn't cause any threat to the organization. But when an event causes any threat to the organization, when we can classify that the event causes threat to the organization, then it can be referred to as an incident. So we have to properly classify between an event and an incident. There can be many events in the organization, but until unless it can be classified into incident, then only the security response team will try to handle that incident. Classification to the incident is done Also based on the security levels of an incident. An incident is classified into three levels depending upon the level of criticality. It is classified into level 1 when we could say that we would be possessing significant harm due to that incident. It is classified into level 2 when there is an unauthorized access to non-critical systems or information. The incident is classified into level 3 in the situations where the information system custodian, data or process owner or HR personnel has to resolve that incident. System custodian is a person who can be termed as the one who have technical access to the data, that is data asset, and this data or process owner is the one who will be giving access to the system custodian to protect the data. System custodian can be referred as the system administrator as well. He'll just be having a technical access to it, whereas the data or process owner will be having complete access to the data. That is why he is referred to as the owner of the data. After classifying it into a security incident, we have to report that incident. And in my organization, the incident can be reported to a separate team, that is corporate security response team. Employees should has to report the suspected and actual incidents, and they can report it using email or via IP phone. Employees can report anonymously without specifying their identity. And while reporting to the response team, they have to report where and when and how the incident has occurred, who were involved in the incident, how was the incident identified in the first place, and any direct or indirect impact on the client has been occurred or not. So they have to cover all of these four categories in the reporting message. So after reporting a security incident, the security response team should follow the below criteria. They have to first classify it into the security incident, then only they have to remediate it. They have to try to implement the fix on the incident, and then they have to analyze it, whether the system has been stabilized or not, and then only they have to report the entire thing, the measures they have been taken, everything in the document to the management. So in my organization, the response team generally follows these four steps. As we have discussed before, the incidents which require forensic investigations are to be conducted only by the Chief Security Officer or the person authorized by the Chief Security Officer. That is why it is categorized under exceptions. Coming to the pros and cons of this policy, the first one is that reporting anonymously is a great idea because we can report without conveying our identity, and we can report on anyone. It may be our manager as well. And so there will be a level of freedom to an employee whenever he feels very suspicious about some events, and he can report it to the response team, and they will be like categorizing it into incident and will be taking countermeasures on it. And the second thing is that maintaining a separate response team for reporting such incidents is also a positive thing, because the team will be taking care of categorizing into incidents and taking some appropriate action on the incident. And when the report is reached to the manager, then the manager will be implementing that action on that person, if he is involved in that. So until unless a report has been finalized and the person is really proved to be involved in such incidents, then only action will be taken on that person. Till that time, the person will be free to perform his operations to the company and within the company, and he will be nowhere disturbed in between. So there goes a smooth flow of operations in the company. And coming to the negatives, in terms of organization's perspective, maintaining such teams maintaining such teams financially would be very difficult because very difficult because the persons involved in the team has to be experts, and nowadays finding experts is really difficult thing. They have to be trained to such an extent that they have to categorize between events and incidents, and when the report really matters, because depending upon the report only, if the person is involved, then the measures are taken on that person. So they have to be very cautious while reporting about any person. These are the references from wherein I have taken some of the contents in the presentation. And thank you so much for watching my video. Hope you guys have enjoyed it, and please drop in your responses below. I would really appreciate your time for that. Thank you.